to hide a Marxist political foundation, which is completely unacceptable to the American public. I would like everyone to, again, check out the film, Dreams from My Real Father. And if you're on Skype, you can see that there's just no resemblance to the Kenyan.
Yes, sir. We've been showing the side-by-side photos and exhibits you sent us. But please, because some people just joined us, recap the entire story for people and the bombshell evidence, the couches matching, the house, the porno photos, the Betty Page stuff with his mother, Obama admitting he would go visit weekly as a child with Frank Marshall. I mean, this is incredible.
Correct. Basically, by Obama's own admission, there is no evidence that his parents were ever married or even ever met, except for a visit to Hawaii by the Kenyan Obama, which I have detailed was related to a problem they were having with the scholarship to Punahou. When Obama went to Punahou School at age 10, he went there, we believe, on a scholarship for affirmative action. The problem was he had a white mother and a birth certificate that we believe said father unknown is how they left it, because they couldn't show Frank Marshall Davis, and the Kenyan Obama didn't want to be part of the responsibility for the child. So the Kenyan Obama had to show up in Hawaii in order to get him his scholarship at Punahou. But Obama admits that there's no evidence his parents were ever married. In his book, he says that even when the Kenyan Obama died, he had no evidence that could show he was a son to make a claim on the estate. We have a ton of evidence, photographic, circumstantial, timeline, witnesses. In Obama's own words, we have evidence of an intimate relationship between Ann Dunham, Obama's mother, and Frank Marshall Davis. We have the fact that Obama admits he was partially raised by Davis, and we have an ideological mirror between Barack Obama, the president, and Frank Marshall Davis's ideology that was anti-white, anti-American, anti-capitalism, that is dedicated to the undermining of all the foundations of what makes America great. Frank Marshall Davis was a very bitter, angry communist, and I believe we have the dream from his real father in the White House in the person of Barack Obama.
And you also show how so many of Obama's speeches are word for word what Davis wrote in his own communist newspaper. I mean, it's stunning. This is his daddy. You put it all together. I mean, it's incredible. And you just happened to notice, because of his speeches, when he got excited, and in his book, where he gets excited talking about this guy he would visit with, and little hints that there was something strange with my grandfather and him, why I was being taken there. I mean, again, criminals always hide things in plain view. They love to tell. They love to leave a little nugget.
Yeah, Barack Obama dropped a number of, I call them breadcrumbs, throughout his book that he alludes to the fact that the Kenyan Obama is not related to him, and that Davis is the only person he refers to in his autobiography by his real name of Frank. He refers to him 25 times, again and again. So I think this is the key to...
And the voice, and I mean, it's him. I mean, you know when somebody... Look, a lot of the guys that work here have sons, and you see their sons, they look like them, they act like them. I mean, you can tell when somebody's their daddy. I mean, you see my dad sitting next to me, he looks just like me, except he's got brown hair, not, dirty blonde hair.
I mean, the age spots, if you look at Obama's age spots coming out all over his face, identical to Davis. Obama is left-handed, as is Davis. They are literal mirrors of each other. And Obama has dropped us little breadcrumbs, but I get emails from people again and again who got advance copies, and they say, thank you, this is the first cohesive understanding where all these little things that just weren't right, all of a sudden line up.
Exactly, and that's just how a disinfo operation works, is that they have her saying speeches when he was campaigning. We went back to where he was born, Kenya. They have it. It's all obvious. Hillary puts it out that, oh, he wasn't really born here. So everybody follows that, knowing the whole time. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Well, when I was making the film, I was very careful not to reveal any of the content till it was finished. Now that it's out there, I think Americans finally have a chance to understand the real agenda of Barack Obama, and it is not problem solving and fair play. It is undermining the capitalist system and doing away with the foundation of America's greatness and exceptionalism to reduce America to a weak power in the world. And
well, exactly. I mean, Bush and all these guys are bad, but I mean, Obama, $20 billion to ship General Motors to China. Obama, carbon to everything. A foreign saboteur couldn't do this good of a job destroying this country.
Well, unfortunately, this is where we are today. And if we didn't have such a corrupt media and a complete lack of truth in the Democratic Party, every time I listen to any Democrat, there's 100% blind support for Obama's agenda with total dishonesty.
Look at how he's giving Libya and Syria to al-Qaeda.
He is not stupid. He knows, for instance, that if you run up trillions and trillions in deficit, he knows this will bankrupt and ruin the United States. He knows this. I
want to play a clip, and we're going to come back. This is with phone calls, keep you 5 minutes the next hour if you can do it. Then we got Lord Monta coming up from the UN confab, where they're openly calling for world government and the end of capitalism. But communism doesn't exist. This is Obama's mentor, wanted Americans put in re-education camps and killed. This is Larry Grathwohl at the highest levels of the underground with the weathermen, with Bill Ayers, how they were going to kill us in the camps. Here it is.
I brought up the subject of what's going to happen after we take over the government. We become responsible then for administrating, 250 million people. And there was no answers. No one had given any thought to economics. How are you going to clothe and feed these people? The only thing that I could get was that they expected that the Cubans and the North Vietnamese and the Chinese and the Russians would all want to occupy different portions of the United States. They also believed that their immediate responsibility would be to protect against what they called the counter-revolution. And they felt that this counter-revolution could best be guarded against by creating and establishing re-education centers in the Southwest, where we would take all the people who needed to be re-educated into the new way of thinking and teach them how things were going to be. I ask, well, what is going to happen to those people that we can't re-educate, that are die-hard capitalists? And the reply was that they'd have to be eliminated. And when I pursued this further, they estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill 25 million people. I want you to imagine sitting in a room with 25 people, most of which have graduate degrees from Columbia and other well-known educational centers, and hear them figuring out the logistics for the elimination of 25 million people. And they were dead serious.
Oh, what's the document I got 2 months ago? The Army confirmed re-education camps have been set up. That's at Infowars.com. We're going to come back with our guest and your calls. Joel Gilbert, Dreams of My Real Father, available at InfoWarsShop.com. Stay with us. Okay, we're going to move quickly through your calls now in the next two short segments. Concept, Richard, Julio, Bill, Damien, and others. Concept in New York, you're on the air with our guest, the maker of Dreams from My Real Father. Go ahead. Go ahead, Concept. You're on the air from New York.
Yes, just to give you an idea of who I am, I was at the Bilderberg protest with the boombox and the microphone. You remember me on
Yes,
Saturday?
I remember meeting you, sir. You have a question for our guest. Good to talk to you.
Yes, it's actually more of a comment. Just from reading Bloodlines of the Illuminati, how all the presidents are linked to bloodlines of ancient rulers of the world, I just want to make a comment that, his illegitimacy is definitely a compromise because they want to keep him on a short leash. And if he doesn't go with the program, am I still on air?
Yes, sir, man. I'm really trying to let... Yeah.
Anyways, they want to keep him on a short leash so that if he does go against their program, they can just say, oh, he wasn't legitimate, and then make everything that he's done null and void. I also want to make the comment that the reason why we don't really know who his family are is that he's not really our first African-American president, because he doesn't have lineage that goes back to slavery. You know what I mean?
All right, listen, I hear you. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, my comment is the main risk we're looking at is things that have to do with blackmail from other governments. If I could figure this out simply by asking the right question, once I asked the right question, who's the real father, I found the information. So when I saw that video of Obama leaning over to Medvedev, and he said, after the election, I'll be more flexible. And then Medvedev said, I'll tell Vladimir. That made my skin crawl, because Putin, former KGB head, he must know all of this, as do many other intelligence agencies. We know the United States lost its manufacturing industry. It's suspected because Clinton gave the Chinese the most favored nation status in the 90s.
And the Panama Canal, it just gets worse. Real fast, Bill in California, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Joel. My question is this. I've read Jerome Corsi's book, The Abomination, a good book. And if it turns out that Davis is the father, how do you see, Joel, how do you see your research complementing Jerome Corsi's research? Because, of course, his book is written under the assumption that Kenyan Obama was the father.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, Corsi now is changing his whole thing. He knows Obama isn't who they said, but now he understands, because he worked in intelligence, that this was an elaborate fraud within a fraud within a fraud. That's standard procedure at these levels. And, I mean, Corsi believes that what has been developed by Joel is accurate.
Yeah, Corsi and I have discussed all of this several times. We were doing some joint research, and we shared some research. And he concurs with me at this point that Davis is the most likely father. And even for anyone, you can look at the video, and it's so obvious, the timeline.
It's ridiculous. Everybody, it's his dad. You can look at him, the voice. He hung out with him as a kid.
Even beyond that, the film demonstrates throughout his whole life story that Davis is his ideological father, which is even more dangerous than the biology.
Oh, but the mannerisms, it's his dad. Anything else, Bill?
That was all. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you. Let's jam in one more, and you can answer it when we come back. Damien in South Carolina, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Gilbert. My one question is this. We who believe what's going on here is to be true, is what you're talking about, often meet Republicans, Democrats, fellow Americans who just are like, oh, you're a birther or you're a truther on the 9/11 issue, whatever. What is the one fact that we can just throw in their face like a silver bullet that will make them believe?
What is his mother doing on his couch, spreading her legs? We'll be right back. We'll see what his answer is.
Alex Jones.
All right, if you just joined us, you got to see the film to know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I respect Corsi. He's a serious guy. When he told me he thought this was accurate, I said, really? And I had to look at it. And, I mean, I'm convinced, and my gut's convinced, not just my intellect. And my gut, well, it's never been wrong. This is Obama's daddy. Only problem in my life is when I don't follow my gut. And let me tell you, this is his daddy. A hardcore communist that he hung out with as a child, that mommy lived by and that grandpa would bring him over to see. I mean, this is just incredible. And it's his ideological father, all of it. Dreams from My Real Father. The director and researcher, Joel Gilbert, the DVD, discounted the film at Infowars.com or Infowarsshop.com or 888-253-3139. We only got about 4 or 5 minutes left. What do you say when somebody just says, birther? I mean, how do you respond to that? I mean, first they said his name wasn't Barry Soetoro. Now they admit that. The records are sealed. I mean, they're covering something up. You have stumbled right into it, hiding in plain view. What do you say to somebody?
Well, I tell them it's so convoluted what Obama has created. It's impossible to say one little factoid. That's why I put the film together as a 90-minute full Obama history where you can see how the story all puts together. So what I tell people is simply, Obama is taking you for a fool. The socialists, they use black people, they use the middle class, and they discard them later after they wage their war against the middle class and against any chance that minorities have of being successful by eliminating...
Well, the socialist leaders are always eugenicists that hate black people.
Well, Obama, just like Frank Marshall Davis, was in charge of recruiting blacks to the Communist Party in Chicago and Hawaii, and he was rejected. didn't work very well because blacks were released.